I felt like we were totally badass, mud-covered, nice people.
It's a sense of community, it's a sense of pride, and it's a sense of like healthy competition.
I do think the lessons and that sort of sense of camaraderie and teamwork and competitiveness that I started from at MCDS is something that will definitely carry with me.
That like level of commitment to the playground sports went into like when I like really got serious about soccer and like now recently track and field is part of the reason why I take them so seriously today.
Well, at MCDS, it was still competitive, but it was also like a very like friendly atmosphere. And so playing for MCDS made me like really enjoy the sport, and I'd like look forward to practices.
It's really about just developing yourself as a person. Athletics is a great way to challenge yourself. It's a great way to structure your life around. It gives you a great way to improve yourself, mentally and deal with adversity.
PE, I really loved PE, and also just like the basketball and soccer teams were super fun. Like I got to hang out with people that I normally wouldn't hang out with, and I just really had fun like playing for a school or like a team that I really cared about.
I thought one of the most important things we brought with us to other schools was that we were good sports, even when we lost, which wasn't that often, but that we were really dedicated players, that we weren't coming to mess around either. So I thought it was a good combo.
Because MCDS was a lot about mindfulness, being kind, and I think sports were a nice way to introduce kids, especially like into high school, getting into that competitive mindset while still being good sports about it.
The coaches there also made it really inclusive and made it fun while having some competition, which is really nice.
Miss McCann was, and still is, she came to some of my games this year even. She was somebody on campus that I could like really connect with.
I loved playing on Ring Mountain, and I loved running on its trails, and I loved playing capture the flag up on the crest of the hill, and I thought that was just priceless.
Before our cross-country meets, Dan would say, hey, listen up. The way we conduct ourselves is at least as important as the way we run.
Try your hardest and have fun, and no worries what happens in the end. You're killing it either way. Simple as that.
I got to help coach volleyball like when I was in 8th grade. I helped with like the 7th grade boys team, and it was super fun. Like the fact that I was able to come help out in those practices is kind of the ethos of the sports program at MCDS, because it's all about the collaboration and the opportunity.
Field day, that was something I always looked forward to. That's what got me into track and field.
My ability to get back up stems from a lot of the things that I learned here.
As young kids at MCDS, everyone has different sort of athletic ability and has different stages of physical development and mental development and emotional development. And so the ethos for me was really about, and I really commend the coaches at MCDS for doing this, is recognizing where each kid is at and leading them on the next step of their development.
I just learned the joy of sports at MCDS in a lot of ways, because it's just, in the end, it's still for fun.
It's a very inclusive environment too. I remember we would always have like our mile challenge. And every year you'd have folks that are at the front of the pack, the middle of the pack, and the end of the pack. I remember there was a year that like we would finish, and there were a couple folks that were at the end of the pack that we went and we ran the rest of the mile with them, right? Just to give them that sense of belonging, that sense of community or camaraderie.
Teamwork wasn't necessarily about like competing with everyone and trying to beat out everyone, and although that's a huge aspect of sports, the aspect that I feel like MCDS focused on was the way that you can play to make the people around you better.
Sports is about building teams, it's about building friends, it's about building a healthy body.
Winning as a team, I guess, is a lot more satisfying than winning on my own. And like we lost our last game in the final seconds, which was really disappointing, but it was just a nice moment of like camaraderie and teamwork, and yeah, I really like that.
A lot of the things that I still care about today really started at MCDS, because that was kind of, I think like the way that you grow up tends to shape the person that you end up being. And so like my upbringing here and my childhood here is reflected in like my passions today.